lovely shot, and that is a quite remarkable victory by Australia, who started today, just the second day of the match, well behind England.
A 2-day roller coaster with the same old ending. Hope gone, mood descending into familiar darkness, a whitewash impending. Old fresh wounds need tending. Were we ever contending? Is it more fool us that we've been here before? This team we adore, depress evermore. At least be assured we won't make cricket a bore. The straws we grasp for when we need to endure. So why, when it hurts, do we always come back? The maniac, the anorak, the obsessive score-checking insomniac, back to a dusty track and a panic attack, an outback bushwhack dream of a comeback. Because the history that warns us also makes us wise. The Ashes we know will contrive to surprise. Like Botham, it can revitalise. Like Warne, it might hypnotise. Like Jardine, it could scandalise. Like Benaud, it shall tantalise. Like Larwood, it may brutalise. And like Bradman, it will mesmerise. So it's flashers and smashers, century bashers, punter and cookies, classy panachers, Merv Marsh and Goochers, sublime moustaches, sub-fielding gate crashers, fuel for the masses. Because, my friends, we have 4 more clashes, so please lend me your ears, my lads and lasses. Flip those frowns and charge your glasses, and let us all toast now to the Ashes. This is the Sporting Almanac Podcast. Marvellous.
If there's some good news, Jack, it's Arsenal.
Yes, Ben, there's some good news for you.
It's the North London derby. It's another George W. That's as high as this peak will get for me.
It's nice to know there is some small part of England concentrated around North London that is happy currently, because the rest of us, especially those of us who are Liverpool fans, are bloody miserable. Honestly, none of my teams can win at the moment. It's getting...
You do it to yourself.
I mean, I know I have this reputation. I do this to myself. I could have chosen any team. I could have chosen the Detroit Lions. Could have chosen any team other than the Jets.
Yeah.
I've got the Jets, England cricket, Liverpool Football Club, and I can't complain about Liverpool. We are the champions. Yeah. But this season is going badly. But North London derby.
The North London derby, Eberici Eze. I mean...
Fairy tale.
Yeah, fairy tale stuff. Like I said when we spoke about him and that signing a little while back, I feel like objectively people should be happy about that story, although appreciating not everybody who is fans of rival teams, particularly Tottenham, will not share in that sentiment today, but it's a nice story, isn't it? It's a nice story.
I think we said last time that it kind of like it was already a Hollywood ending. You could end the film at the moment he signs his contract. But of course, now you'd end the film the moment he scores a hat-trick in the North London derby. And then no one would believe it. You've lost your Oscars. Any chance of an Oscar's gone. That's too unbelievable an ending.
Yeah, that's true. I was going to say something, but I shan't because I don't want to jinx it.
You were going to say, or
let's just
lifting the Premier League title.
Jack. Just don't.
Well, no one else wants it, Ben, so I think it's yours this year.
Let's swiftly move on and just quickly mention the manufactured drama in the Formula One.
You know what? Like, it's a technical infringement. It is probably technically correct. You've just got to believe it because every part of you is cynically thinking, wow, the next 2 races are going to be really exciting, but not because of the races that preceded it, because of some technicality in the laws. And given what's happened previously, and I'm not saying they're favouring Red Bull. I'm not saying they're favouring Max. I don't think that's the case at all. I think they're favouring drama.
Yeah.
I think...
Let's see if we can get this to Abu Dhabi, guys.
Whilst there might have been a technical infringement, I don't know whether they police this 100% of the time. I hope they do, and I hope this is just McLaren have cocked up here. But I bet there was people rubbing their hands together with glee that we've now got 3 drivers within a race win of each other heading into the last 2 races. And it will be exciting, but, you know...
Yeah.
It just...
Qatar.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. England, rugby, union. an unbeaten November, which is nice.
Yeah, I've got to say, after me moaning about all my teams losing, England rugby 11 wins in a row.
Yeah, which is obviously very nice, but we'll see if that translates into tournament rugby in the new year.
If we make it 16 in a row, we'll be very happy.
Yeah, we will. But that would also make it one of the longest winning streaks, I think. So it's unlikely. But, you never know. You never know. Here's to hoping. South Africa, on the cricketing theme, on the cusp of a series victory in India, which is nice.
Not many teams go down to India and win, so
no.
South Africa, fair play.
Yeah, very big deal. But on the subject of cricket and on the subject of the Ashes, which is, again, the focus of our episode, our second episode, England...
Whether we want it to be or not.
England, God damn England, blowing what can only be described as a golden opportunity in Perth to go 1-0 down. So... what did you text me? Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Yes, I believe it's a mantra that many Englishmen shared. They, for those of you who don't know, or just to recap what happened, England battered crap in their first innings, got out for, was it 200 odd?
No, 170.
170, yeah. But then bowled Australia out for about 130.
Yeah.
Had a lead of about 40. Brilliant bowling display, proper fast bowling, relentless attack from all sides. Stokes getting a fifer. The quickest fifer by anyone not called Stuart Broad this side of the war. So pretty impressive stuff from Stokesy. And then all England had to do was, I think, even if just one battered got their it was and hit just a ton, like a 75.
We were 60 for 1, which was 100 for 1 net. Like you say, just a bit of common sense.
Bare minimum, you end out with a lead of 280, 290.
And then they
give yourself a shot. Get skittled.
Get skittled in the afternoon session, and then Travis Head puts on an absolute masterclass, to be fair, one of the great Ashes innings, but...
I mean, doing Bazball properly.
To lose in 2 days by 8 wickets when you had a first innings lead and were 60 for 1 is...
unforgivable.
It's a head loss. It's a head loss. And we now go to the Gabatoir, where we have a diabolical record. So let's forget about the modern day for 5 minutes and start chin wagging about where this all came from, because we set the scene for cricket in our last episode. We had a little dabble with what the Ashes were, but we didn't really get into the meat and drink of what this is all about, where it all came from, and why it's so revered.
Why we keep persisting with it, despite the fact it is literally the stuff of nightmares for Englishmen going down under to Australia. And it's happened again, and probably going to get spanked at the Gabba. And that would mean we'd have to win all 3 tests, which would be, that would be quite a story in itself if we manage that. But
that's a very good point, actually. We probably, I don't know if we said this in the last episode, but it's obviously biannual, so it's every 2 years. The holder only has to draw. It was 2-2 last time, and so Australia are the current holders because they won last time we went down to Australia 4-0. So they only have to draw this series, and they're 1-0 up. So it's not looking good.
It's a pretty large hill right now, and if we lose at the Gabba, it becomes Mount Everest. But sport is weird. Who knows?
Sport is weird. That's true.
We are not optimistic.
Yeah, but it's 143 years old. We've been doing this a while, and
cricket. That is fairly new in cricketing terms. Cricket is an incredibly old sport.
Yes,
goes back all the way to the Saxons, to the Norman invasion, possibly beyond.
Does it really go back that far? That's I didn't realise it was so old.
So there's sort of scattered records before that, but the first time properly that these sort of bat and ball games were recorded was about the 12th, 13th century, around that kind of time. So a little after the Norman invasion. Maybe I was over-exaggerating. But, it's just a bat and ball game. It's kids hitting a ball with a stick of some description, and the name itself is, apparently it comes from a Flemish word. Don't know what it means. Probably should have written it down. But it was definitely being played, and the first time it sort of comes into historical terms, into writing, was in the 16th century, where there was a couple of court cases where people were basically being tried for playing cricket, when at a time where, as I mentioned in the previous episode, there were bans on certain games because they wanted men to be practicing archery, because that's what they needed in the army. But it became popularised after that by a certain class of British people, the rich ones.
Have a wild guess.
but mostly because they wanted to gamble. So it filled a niche at the time with horse racing, I think, more than anything. That those early sports that became popularised because people were bored and had too much money and wanted to gamble on it. So they would set up these events, invite all their mates over, be it horse races, be it cricket matches, and then they'd all gamble on it. So, yeah.
Nice. And then...
It's basically where it came from.
And then I think we mentioned in the last episode, didn't we, that basically Test cricket sort of emanated from the English going down to the Australian colonies, playing cricket with the people that were down there. It retrospectively turned into what was, known as Test cricket. But the Ashes are a little bit later.
So the first touring sides, or there were club touring sides, or like independent touring sides, or amateur touring sides of gentlemen, essentially. One of the most famous organisations that sent these touring sides was the Marylebone Cricket Club, the MCC. And they were the first people to write the laws of cricket back at the end of the 18th century. Laws have been updated a few times since. I'm not going to bore you with the deep history of cricket. I think we will do that. Maybe if we do the county championship at some point.
Yeah, so I think 1876, 1877 was sort of like what would be known as the first tours of Australia in sort of classic terms. But the Ashes, well, there's a good story behind the Ashes. Oh, should we tell it together? 1882, 29th of August, something quite significant happened at the Oval.
Indeed, something quite famous and something quite reported upon, famously.
Yeah, famously reported upon. But it didn't start well for the Australians. They made a mere 63 runs in their first innings, and England took a 38-run lead with a total of 101 in reply. And then in their
not a high-scoring game.
Not a high-scoring game. And in their second innings, Australia basically managed 122, which only left England 85 to win. So obviously Australia are probably thinking here, we're on the ropes, probably not going to see this through. But a chap called Fred Sporforth had... Spofforth, is it? Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah.
I'm guessing.
He had different ideas. He was pretty upset. I'm not really sure why. I couldn't quite get to the bottom of it, but I think it was something to do with gamesmanship and things that had been said, and it was very gentlemanly.
Just not cricket.
Yeah, it's a very gentlemanly game back then, so probably didn't take too much to wind someone up. And he took the final 4 wickets of the English innings for only 2 runs to leave England 8 short. So bowled out for...
That's a collapse.
Yeah, bowled out for 77, I think it was.
Yeah, 77 all out.
Which is not a good day for England, and would be the sign of things to come, particularly in the 1990s.
Indeed. It's what happened afterwards, which has...
Well, the significance is that this was...
the name into the lexicon.
Yeah, well, it was the first Australian victory on English soil. It's important to put that out there, and... take the story from there, Jack.
Yes, so lots of people wrote lots of stories about it. In terms of the style of writing of the day, a lot of these were humorous, sort of tongue-in-cheek, sort of slightly mocking, but also congratulatory. There wasn't much beef at this point. It was like, well done the tourists, but also let's make a joke at our expense. And the most famous of these was written by a man named Reginald Shirley Brooks in the Sporting Times, and it read, I shall read it, in affectionate remembrance of English cricket, which died at the Oval on 29th of August 1882, deeply lamented by a large circle of sorrowing friends and acquaintances. Rest in peace. NB, the body will be cremated, and the ashes taken to Australia. And it's a small byline in a fairly well read paper that just found its way into sort of the culture. Not the right way. There was folklore, yeah. So the idea then became people picked up on the idea of the Ashes, and then later on, when England then sent a touring side back to Australia, the newspaper were writing things like they're going to try and reclaim the Ashes.
Yeah, And the English captain, Ivo Bligh, even vowed to regain those ashes.
Yeah.
And sort of the English media then dubbed it a sort of a quest, so to speak. A crusade.
A crusade is actually a very good one.
Yeah.
To recover those ashes. And the Australian press seized upon it as well. Obviously, a bit of banter going back and forth even in the early days. And 1882, 1883... England sent a touring side, as we mentioned, led by Ivo Bligh to Australia, and they won.
They won 2-1. Yeah,
they did.
And then this is really where the point at which it sort of took off, because when he won 2-1, he was presented with an urn containing the ashes of a cricket bale, the little stick on top of the big sticks, as we discussed in the last episode. And
yeah, so some of the Melbourne elite, some women from the Melbourne elite, most famously Florence Morphy, later Lady Darnley, presented him with a tiny urn containing allegedly the ashes of, as you say, a burnt cricket bale.
Yeah, I don't think this sort of the thing that adds to the mystique of this is they don't actually really know where the urn came from.
No.
And I'm not even sure it's actually an urn. Or maybe its original purpose wasn't.
It's a small terracotta pot, but
it's tiny
even
vase,
then, Ivo Bligh just took it home with him, and it wasn't until after Bligh's death, a lot later, I think it was like 1925 or around that time, that his widow kind of found it and thought this is something that the MCC might like to have, so gave it to the MCC, and it remains to this day displayed at Lord's proudly.
Yeah. And it's this is the thing that's fun about it. It's a notional trophy. It's not an official trophy. So
it's a concept, really. It's an idea.
Yeah. England and Australia don't actually play for this urn. They are, and because of the sort of age of the urn and its fragility, because it's extremely old, it like never leaves the museum. So whenever you see them presented with the urn, it's always just something out of like a shop nearby, like a replica. It genuinely doesn't exist really. As you said, it's like in the ether. It's a concept. It's not even. It's not the official trophy. It's just it was a personal gift that's stood the test of time and has become legend, really.
But that's what's wonderful about sport. I mean, you get these sort of modern tournaments. I mean, obviously, we've talked about the Rugby League Ashes, and I'm not criticising the Rugby League Ashes. That name obviously comes from the cricketing Ashes, and it has a big, deep meaning in sport for games between England and Australia. But you can't replicate the history. You can't just make a trophy and then give it to someone and say, this trophy is special. There's not even a trophy here. It's just a small vial of urns that means the absolute world to English and Australians once every 18 months or so.
Yeah.
And it's so much deeper than anything you could create.
Yeah, it's like the people definitely play more for the pride and the...
It's the history.
The prestige, yeah, exactly, that comes with winning this test series, not the urn itself. The urn itself is just a representation of what it all means. I mean, it's only like we spoke about the Stanley Cup, like being massive. The urn.
This is the opposite.
The urn is 6 inches or 150 mil tall, so it's very small. And like cricket has a trophy for everything, so there technically is a trophy for the Ashes. It's called the Waterford Crystal Trophy, and it was only created in 1999. No one cares. Like, we're not playing for that. But
it's a nice thing to lift at the end and spray some champagne or champagne alternative around.
But it is ultimately, it's all about that tiny little vase. And there's been 73 series. I think this is the 74th, the one that is currently ongoing. Do you know how many Australia have won and how many England have won?
I think I saw this, and it's obviously a lot have been drawn as well, but Australia are just ahead, aren't they? A couple ahead, 34 to 32 or something like that.
That's it. Spot on.
I just eyeballed that. I'm sorry, plucked that out of my brain.
No, it's spot on. I think it's been retained 6 times from draws. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's actually surprisingly few, considering 2 out of the last 4 have been retained with draws. Yeah. Both the last 2 series in England have been 2 all draws.
Yeah, that's
unfortunately meaning Australia have retained it.
Now, this is a fun stat. Who do you think's held it for longer in terms of years?
Is it going to be England because we won it in like just before the war or something like that?
It's not England. It is actually Australia, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
But and it's quite a wide split, though, probably for some sort of reason that you've just described.
I think Australia.
Go on.
I was going to say, I think Australia did win it just before the Second World War because a certain Don was playing for them and he didn't lose very often.
And they've had
go on.
2 periods of absolute domination, haven't they, really? But
they really have, yeah.
84.5 years, so 84.5 years for Australia to 55.5 years for England. But considering it's 34-32 in series, that's quite a distortion in 30-year difference, basically, in terms of who's held it. Do you want to know the aggregate score? If it was a single series, what would the score be from 361 Test matches?
Given the best result I can remember England getting in England was a 3-0, and that was once, and I can remember at least 2 5-0s to Australia, as well as 2 4-0s. I'm going to say this is skewed towards Australia.
Yeah, quite heavily. They're 152 to 111 ahead, 98 draws. They're technically 153 to 111 now. My statistics are 1 game out of date. So yeah, Australia basically well ahead in the aggregate. But yeah, I mean, it's actually historically weirdly close. Australia, they win about 55% of the time. But like we said before, England have not won in Australia since 2011, and Australia not won in England since 2001. It's only been 5-0 3 times. You've already mentioned 2 of them, I think, 2006 and 2013. The only other one was in 1920, all won by Australia.
Yeah, no surprise.
They've won by 4 on multiple occasions, not even worth reciting them. And England...
It did used to be 6 tests occasionally as well, a 6-test series.
Yeah, that's true.
In England, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, this has changed, the format of this has changed quite a lot, hasn't it, in terms of timeless tests as well and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, England have only managed a 3-0 win. That's England's biggest victory in a series. Centuries. This is kind of fun. Do you know how many centuries have been scored by Australians?
No. I can have a guess if you want. I've been doing well.
Yeah, go on, have a stab in the dark.
201.
Oh, not bad. 264 for Australia, but 212 for England.
Fair enough.
Only 10 innings from the Englishmen have been over 200, and 23 scores have been over 200 by Australians, and there's a particular chap who's responsible for a few of those.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you ask me what the biggest ever Ashes individual score is, I can probably tell you that.
Yeah, go on.
Is it 364?
By the Don.
334.
By the Don?
By the Don at Leeds, yeah.
Yeah.
Headingley. There's a famous story, actually. I might be getting ahead of us because we're going to be talking about the Don later, but Michael Parkinson's father.
Yes,
you heard this,
I've heard this. It's great. Go on, tell the story.
So, he was a big cricket fan, and they lived in Barnsley. He was a coal miner, so not a man of means by any sorts, but he walked from Barnsley to Headingley, which is 30 miles at least, there and back, as in 30 miles there and 30 miles back, in just sort of, he'd only had a couple of pairs of shoes, so just using his shoe leather to get there. And his family for years questioned him, like, why would you do that? Why would you, pay the entry fee and
unrepentant, wasn't he?
Wear your shoes, yeah. And he was just like, because I got to see the Don bat.
Yeah.
Because I got to see Bradman bat.
Which is really cool. It's also indicative of like how good Bradman was, in that that's an Englishman walking 30 miles to go and watch an Australian slap us about.
Yeah.
At home in one of the great cricketing venues of England at Headingley. Yeah. It's a bit like, it's got the Shane Warnes about it, that, hasn't it? Like, if you ever needed an illustration of how important someone is to a game, you only need to see how revered they are by their adversaries, and that gives you a very clear indication of the impact they had. I mean, why don't we just talk about him now, like, since he's come up?
Yeah.
I mean,
we apologise for not going chronologically now, but yeah, why don't we skip ahead and talk about...
Yeah, let's talk about Bradman. Bradman's the man. He is the man. Has there anyone been better at a game ever? There's a question for you, Jack. I've got one name I might throw into the mix, but I'm already thinking myself out of my own argument. Has anyone been more dominant at a sport?
What I would say is this. I would say relative to their peers, and especially in a sport where there is a lot of peers, there's a lot of history, there's a lot of records. First-class cricket goes way back 200 years, and there's deep records about it, and you can compare people through generations and compare players to players, international cricket, first-class cricket. In terms of comparing the best player to the second best player, I cannot think of a sport where anyone exceeds the average or the next best more than Don Bradman did. I think he is in a sport where you can fundamentally, objectively measure how good someone is by their batting average in this case. Just to put this into context, we talked a bit about batting averages last week, so for anyone who's not, au fait with cricket particularly, it is the amount of runs you've scored divided by the amount of times you've got out. Now, a very, very good batting average is anything over 50. Anything over 60 is ridiculous. There's only a handful of players in the history of international cricket who have finished with an average over 60. Ben, would you like to say what Don Bradman's career average was?
99.94.
Such a famous number.
It's actually insane. I mean, the next best is Kamindu Mendes, a Sri Lankan all-rounder who has only played 14 tests, and he averages 62.66.
And that's very impressive.
Yeah, that's very impressive, but he's only played 14 games, and his career spans 2022 to 2025 so far. It's ongoing. And so his will likely come down. You've got Adam Voges on 61.87.
Again, a short career, yeah.
Very short career, 20 games. You've got Graham Pollock, who is great, but only played 23 games, averages 60. I mean, to give some context, the next best average, so Don played 52 games, 80 innings, scored 6,996 runs at 99.94. So there's the next closest who has played over 50 games is Herbert Sutcliffe, who is an English great, whose career sort of spanned the same era as Bradman's, so it's a very good comparison. He played 54 games, 2 more than Bradman, 84 innings, so 4 more than Bradman, and he averaged 60, which is an astonishing average and would make you
ridiculous.
The best player in the world currently, like if that was your current average. I mean, let's see if we can find where. So Harry Brook and Steve Smith, who are both in this series, averaging 56 for Harry Brook from 31 tests and 51 innings. And that, if he can sustain that, that will be up there. And Steve Smith, who's a very good comparison because A is Australian and B is one of the greats, 120 innings. 120 matches, 214 innings. He averages 55.
So bear in mind, obviously, notwithstanding Adam Voges, who had a very short but very good career, Steve Smith, I mean, we can ignore Adam Voges because Steve Smith's played 120 tests. He is the second best batter in Australian history, behind Don Bradman, and his batting average is nearly half of it of what Bradman's is.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
It's actually mental. And if people are thinking these statistics are distorted by the era, again, think
batting averages were lower in that era, generally
lower, and also no one else apart from Sutcliffe and just having a quick look here.
Maybe Eddie Painter, but he only played 20 games.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm looking for people that have played a series, like the career longevity of similarity. I think it's probably Hobbs.
Wally Hammond.
Yeah.
Wally Hammond's a good comparison because he was the best England batter of the era that
he played
Bradman was playing in.
85 games, he averaged 58, and then you got Hobbs as well, 61 games, averaged 56. So look, people are literally, his peers were half of him, and the modern day player is half as good as well. I mean, the people that finished their careers, like Sangakkara and Gary Sobers, they're in the high 50s, and they are considered like, some of the greatest batsmen to have ever lived, and they don't get anywhere near Bradman. It's insane.
It's incredible. And like I always think that there's talent is one thing. Like, obviously, anyone who becomes a legend in their sport has to have whatever you want to call it. Let's call it God-given talent, because that is the common phrase. They also have to be able to work hard. They also have to work on their game, try and hone their game by whatever means they can. The famous story about Bradman is he used to, when he was a child, when he was a pretty young child, he used to practice playing on a cobbled floor with a golf ball and a cricket stump. Now, a cricket stump's, 1.5 inches wide?
Yeah.
A golf ball, everyone knows how big a golf ball is. So, and a cobbled floor, meaning the ball can bounce all over the place. And he'd hit the ball against the wall, it would bounce back onto the cobbled floor, and he'd hit the ball again. So he got extremely good at doing that. So by the time he then picked up a cricket bat, which is, 2 or 3 times as wide, and a cricket ball, which is 2 or 3 times as wide, it was child's play to him. And he would just do this for hours and hours on end. It just reminds me of, like, you hear this about Tiger Woods, you hear this about, David Beckham's probably not quite in that stratosphere, but him doing kick-ups for hours and hours on end to hone his game.
Someone like Bradman's in the sweet spot, isn't he? Because like you say, he's got this drive and a determination and a discipline to match, like, an absurd hand-eye coordination. And being able to tap into both those things simultaneously is rare. But anyone who goes on to be as dominant and as good at something as Bradman was at batting always manages to find the solution to, to combine those two strengths.
He had the genetics as well. His father was a very, very keen cricketer, and his mother was a very, very keen cricketer as well. She played cricket for women's representative teams in the 1890s, which is, well, there you go.
Yeah, it's a cricketing family, like you say, in the genes, in the blood. But
as soon as he started playing first-class cricket, he was incredible. He hit 1,000 runs as a teenager for his club team. Made his first-class debut for New South Wales when he was only 19, which, again, bearing in mind, back in these days, that wasn't common. Like, I know there's teenagers playing Test cricket nowadays, but that's very modern phenomenon across all sports all over the world. So that's pretty incredible. And he was in the first Ashes team after just one full first-class season when he was 20 years old. Incredible.
It is incredible. And so was his record on the Tour of England in 1930.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Which is a record that still stands. Australia won a 5-test series 2-1, and Bradman scored 974 runs at 139, which is an aggregate record that still stands to this day, as in the 974 across the series is an aggregate that still stands. That is boggling total. Go on.
Yeah, he hit a double century during that series in, I think, first or second test, and then he followed it up, as I mentioned, in that Leeds test, hitting a triple century, 334, which is, like, to just do one of those in a series, just do one of those in a career is incredible. But that wasn't even his last triple century in the Ashes. It wasn't even his last triple century at Leeds.
Yeah, and it wasn't also his last double ton of that series or triple ton. He scored in the final series. This is what cracks me up, because this will lead us in at some point into another topic that we're going to talk about in a minute, which is Bodyline. But in the final test of the 1930 series, that's when that's the genesis of England thinking that Bodyline might work, because they thought he had a vulnerability to fast-paced short bowling. Guess what he scored in that game?
I'm guessing 200 and
232. So
I'll give you another stat about Bodyline series later, but yeah, go ahead.
Where did they get that notion from, that he had a weakness to fast-paced bowling, as he scored 232? Jesus.
Well, I think he was flinching a bit at some of the short deliveries, as he would, because bear in mind, there was no helmet in these days.
Yeah. Like no arm guards,
or
nothing.
Arm guards, or thigh guards,
chest
or
guards.
I don't know about boxers. I hope they are boxers or cups for the Americans out there.
What I love about this, and I'm not trying to rush us into Bodyline, but I think this was sort of, England thought that they had cottoned on to something, as we say, because maybe he was slightly uncomfortable to the odd deliveries. He scored 232, and they thought that this was sort of emphasised by an innings that he played against South Africa at the Adelaide Oval. And guess what he scored in that game?
Was it
He's got
200.
299 not out.
This is absurd. I mean, honestly, like, the great players, there's a lot of great players who've scored triple centuries. Or there's a handful of great players who scored triple centuries. There's a lot of great players who scored double centuries. In fact, it's almost a badge of honour. If you want to call yourself a great cricketer, you have to get up in the 200, 250 mark in an innings. But he was doing this multiple times in series and then coming back 4 years later and doing it again. He's just...
Yeah.
It's incomparable.
He's got 29 hundreds and 13 50s. He only got 7 ducks in his entire career.
One very famously, yeah.
One very famously, which is... Sorry, we probably shouldn't be cryptic about that. That's the reason he averages 99.94 and not 100. Is in his final test innings. What did he need? Like 2 or something?
4.
He needed 4 and he got a duck, which is a 0. That famously cost him an average of 100 for his whole career.
It doesn't matter.
Do you want to know an
in fact, if anything,
wild...
It adds to the legend.
No, of course. I mean, it almost adds to it. Yeah, like you say, like the the imperfection of it. Like if he averaged 100, it's kind of like too perfect, right?
It's almost like it's a percentage, isn't it? He's 99.94% perfect.
Yeah,
if it had been over, it just wouldn't have made sense.
Hey, that's poetic. That is a beautiful way of putting it.
That's my maths brain.
Because it's like it's like a recognition, like you say, it's like a recognition that he's just a man, but he has near damn.
Now that's poetic.
He near damn mastered the art of batting, but didn't quite master it, because an average of 100 is perfect in cricketing terms, I think. Do you want to know a really wild stat about his career?
Oh, of course I do, yeah.
He scored, well, they don't actually know. They reckon he scored north of 620 fours in his career, but he only hit 6 sixes.
Yeah, it's a different world there, different game.
Yeah. Very different game.
6 hitting in Test cricket really wasn't common until, I mean, obviously, it's certainly in England. I will just speak about England because I don't know enough about this. Kevin Peterson was basically England. Not that, of course, he was the only one. Obviously, Beefy did it as well. Botham did it in the past and whatever. But in terms of commonality, and obviously came with the birth of 2020 cricket as well. But I'm not that surprised, actually, he only hit 6 sixes.
Yeah, no, neither am I really. I mean, his strike rate was 58. And again, to translate that into something that resembles normal language, that means that for every 100 balls he faced, he would score 58 runs. So there would be
pretty standard.
Yeah, that's about average actually for Test cricket. There are batsmen like Harry Brook, who's currently has a strike rate of 87, which is very. He's an anomaly. Most people are in the sort of 50s, really.
Yeah, because his Test career has basically just been playing, as they call it, baseball.
Yeah.
Love it or you hate it.
Yeah.
Which is the aggressive form of cricket that England play, for better or worse.
And at the moment, very much for worse. But we've had our pants pulled questioning the style a few times, so I'll shut my mouth until we lose at the Gabbatoir, and then I'll get self-righteous about it. Back to Bradman. He was also part of the 1948 Invincibles.
Yeah.
Only Australian side to ever tour England without losing a match.
34 matches.
Yeah, they won 4-0 in the Ashes. They drew one of the tests, but battered everybody else.
It's worth pointing out, actually, that Bradman wasn't the healthiest person in the world as well at this time. He had a few issues. One very notable issue that he had throughout his career that was only really diagnosed sort of around the wartime. He had bad eyesight.
That is ironic. That is ironic.
It's incredible. He also had fibrositis.
What's that?
Which is sort of chronic pain illness, which affected him quite heavily as well, to the point where he thought he'd have to retire at one point. If anything, the war coming along gave him sort of a bit of recovery time. It's also worth pointing out as well with him that he lost 6 years of his career to the war.
Yes, it's a great point.
Arguably at his peak as well.
Yeah.
But then he came back after and, as he said, led the Invincibles, still scored plenty of runs. Actually had a bit of a spike in his batting average. He got back over 100 at one point as well. Hence why he needed that such few runs at the end to get there, yeah.
I mean, how do you stop a man that's this good?
How do you stop a man that's this good? You exploit his weakness, or his perceived weakness.
His perceived weakness. And how do you do that?
And you need, well, first of all, you need someone in charge who is brutal, who is unforgiving, who has a nickname like the Iron Duke.
Yeah. And who was that?
That was a man called Mr. Douglas Jardine, who was he was born to Scottish parents in India, in colonial India, and obviously went through the English public school system. He was obviously a amateur player because at this point in time, and for just a few years afterwards, you couldn't become England captain unless you were an amateur, as in unless you were a gentleman, essentially.
And then the irony of that, considering the tactic that this man is the architect of.
Yeah, and it kind of overlaps with that, is the expectation that cricket is kept gentlemanly as a result, and the idea of this unwritten rules of cricket and the culture of cricket being more important than winning, for example. But Jardine didn't believe in that. He had seen, or it had been brought to his attention, this perceived weakness, as in from this last test, as he mentioned, in the 1930 series, as well as tour of South Africa. He sat down with the captain of Nottinghamshire County Cricket Club, who I did not write the name down, so I do apologise. And they watched some game footage taken from some of these series. And yeah, they came to the conclusion that the best way to attack him specifically, but the Australians generally, on the hard Australian pitches, was to bowl short, was to bowl fast, and was to pack the leg side with catching players and target the Australians around their upper body and their heads, hence Bodyline, as it became known, and hope that they, instead of... Essentially, you've got three choices in this situation. You either,
hook or pull it.
Try and defend your stumps and risk taking one to the head, chest, whatever. Try defending your head and chest, but then you leave your stumps exposed for that surprise late ball. Or, of course, if you try defending, you can send a catch up in the air. And the alternative is, if you get hit by the ball, there's no helmet, there's no padding, it could cause some serious damage, and it did cause some serious damage.
It did cause some serious damage, because as you're right, like the game now it's marshalled a lot more strictly, so there are rules about head-high bouncers.
Yeah, how many you can do in an over? You can have 2 per over, is it?
Yes, I think the second one would be a wide. You get 1, don't you? And then the second one is a wide.
Yeah, and there's certainly a limit to how many players you can place behind square on the leg side. So essentially in the quarter of the cricket field behind and to the leg side of the batsman.
Yeah. You
can only have 2 fielders maximum in there now. Bodyline required several leg slips, as they be called, to be placed in that area.
I mean, let's be clear. Like the modern game still allows for very hostile bowling. So you can bowl as many balls as you want, which rear up to about the armpit height, but you cannot bowl them above shoulder height, so towards the head. You can, but there's a limit on them. As you say, the batsmen wear helmets, people wear arm guards, people wear chest guards, people wear thigh pads. Obviously, all of the material designed for protecting the batsman is far more sophisticated. None of that applied, and it was considered very intimidating, very threatening, arguably, but certainly very unsporting, aggressive, and back in the day it's probably perceived as a bit unfair, actually.
Yeah,
but
certainly not cricket.
Yeah, certainly not cricket, because there was that unspoken code. I mean, the irony in all of this is that England in the modern day does like to hold itself out as some sort of like gatekeeper of morality and maker of the rules, custodian of the spirit of the game and all this crap. But we were really the ones that set the wheels in motion for pretty unsporting behaviour with Bodyline.
And we've just gone into this first Ashes test with 3 of them certainly fast bowlers in the team.
Yeah. Not
quite targeting the head, but certainly plenty of short pitch bowling and intimidating bowling. Jardine had weapons to use, most particularly a man named Harold Larwood, who definitely deserves a mention. He was not a gentleman. He was not an amateur, as it were. He was a professional. He was from a working class family in Nottinghamshire. He worked down the mines before he became a professional cricketer. His nickname was The Wrecker, which is a really good name. He was only 5 foot. only 5'7".
Oh, a bit of Mark
He
Wood.
was a small guy.
A bit of Mark Wood about him. Mark Wood's not that small, but hostile.
No, yeah, relatively speaking, but very, very quick bowler, and obviously played for Nottinghamshire, and had sort of dabbled with these sort of tactics previously, just sort of once or twice, but it wasn't something that was decided on the field. It was planned in advance. The whole team were aware of it. There were some people in the squad who didn't like going along with it.
Yeah, one of the geezers fell out with him, didn't he? One of the bowlers.
Yeah, I don't know which one, but yeah, there was a couple of them who were very, very unhappy about doing it. The most famous person who refused to field on the leg side for it was Nawab of Pataudi, who was an Indian prince who played for the England team at the time.
That's a cool bit of history. I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's a couple of famous Indian princes who got their education in England and played for the England team.
Oh, nice. That's a great bit of history. That genuinely educated me, that did. I had literally no idea that was part of the history of the Ashes.
Yeah, and his refusal to field on the leg side essentially ended his Test career, but he was stubborn and refused to do it, putting the spirit of the game before.
What a prick doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, God forbid, hey.
Oh, dear.
He did later play for and captain India once they became a Test-playing nation.
Oh, nice. That's a good little arc to his story.
Played for both India and England.
Yeah, we'll come on to somebody else who's done something like that, but not yet.
Indeed.
Not yet.
Indeed.
Yeah, go on.
So anyway, should we talk about the series then?
Yes.
So
did it work?
Did it work? Yeah. So first of all, Don Bradman did not play in the first Test. This was not related to anything to do with Bodyline. He was just
knackered.
Unwell, although there were rumours, unwell, strained. There were rumours that he was disputing with the board over sort of commercial matters. Obviously, cricket was, largely amateur. They were making very, very little money, cricketers in Australia at this point. But Bradman obviously was a huge name, and there was people who wanted him to sell their products and appear on their radio channels or do interviews or whatever. And there was a bit of a dispute between the ACB, the Australian Cricket Board, and Bradman over this. Yeah. But it may or may not have contributed to him not playing. However, Harold Larwood destroyed Australia without Bradman.
Yeah.
And there was 187 not out by McCabe as well.
Yeah. Couldn't take the smoke.
England
Couldn't
1-0
take the smoke. 10-wicket win.
10-wicket win. You'll love to see
1-0 up. What happened in the second Test when Bradman came back? Did it go as well?
Well, the second Test, Bradman's back. Now, one of the things I love about this series is, obviously, England go into this with a plan to stop Bradman and to keep him at bay. And to a certain extent, it works in the first innings. Bradman doesn't get a century, which is fairly rare.
Got 4-ball duck, didn't he? Or did he get first ball duck? First ball duck?
It was a duck, certainly, yeah.
It might have been a first baller. So, yeah, maybe he can't handle it.
Let me check my notes. Maybe. Yeah, ball first ball. I do apologise.
Yeah, maybe he couldn't handle it.
I had it in my notes all along.
In his head. He was expecting a short one, and he's pitched it up and just skittled the great man.
Maybe he couldn't handle it. But in the second innings, he hit 103 not out.
Yeah. And Australia
won by 111 runs.
1-1. On to Adelaide.
Again, I'll say this at the end. There is something about this series that I love, which I will get to. On to Adelaide.
This is where it gets really controversial.
Yeah, so the third Test is the one where it does. Woodfull struck over the heart.
Yeah. Captain as well, Bill Woodfull, wasn't he, at the time?
Yeah, he was, yeah. And a bit of an Australian hero as well. Douglas Jardine shouting out, "Well bowled, Harold."
Yeah, that's the famous line, isn't it?
That's what sparked the fury. That's what really got them going.
Was he the most injured person in this game?
Was he the most injured person in this game? No, and this is actually quite bad.
Yeah, it is.
Bert Oldfield, who's the Australian wicketkeeper, he attempted a hook off what was actually a slightly slower Larwood ball, which was probably fortunate, but he top-edged it, and he top-edged it into his own temple, and he collapsed to the ground with a fractured skull.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I mean, I think even Jardine felt bad about this and sent...
Which says a lot, yeah.
Some presents and stuff to his family, I think.
Yeah, should point out with Douglas Jardine, he he had beef already with the Australian public. He wasn't a big fan of the barracking going on the first time he toured Australia in the late 20s, and it sort of carried the beef into that tournament. And there are sort of rumours and talk that this might have influenced him.
I think at some point as well, he got denied a ton when they played out a draw. He was like left 96 not out. And so I think
wasn't happy with the crowd reaction.
The etiquette and all that nonsense. Anyway, sorry, I interrupt. You are telling us how this test progressed.
I mean, amid the carnage, England dominated the game. They skittled Australia out pretty cheaply twice. They won by 338 runs to go 2-1 up. But yeah, obviously the cricket itself plays a footnote to sort of the sense and the reaction that came afterwards that the line had been crossed, the Rubicon had been crossed, and this simply just was not cricket anymore. There was a line that had been crossed between simply hard play and pure brutality, as it became.
Yeah, it was very effective, but it
became an international incident. It actually began to affect the
diplomatic
relations, diplomatic relations, literally between England and Australia, obviously, or between the United Kingdom and Australia. Obviously, Australia was a relatively new country. It was still part of the British Empire at this point as a dominion, largely independent country though at this point. The Australian Board of Control cabled the MCC in London, accusing Bodyline of menacing the best interests of the game, making bodily protection the batsman's main concern, causing injuries and being, quote, unsportsmanlike. And warning that unless it's stopped, it may upset the friendly relations between Australia and England. The MCC were outraged in their response and gave the full confidence to Jardine and his team, denied any unsporting conduct, blah, and go as far as to say they'd rather cancel the tour than accept the charge. And prime ministers got involved. It was ridiculous.
Just a polite way of saying learn how to play the short ball.
I mean, the governor of South Australia warned the British government that the row could damage trade and imperial unity. The Australian Prime Minister, Joseph Lyons, leaned on his own board to de-escalate the situation and try and calm it down. Eventually, Australia softened its language, reaffirming that it still hated Bodyline, but it didn't question the English sportsmanship, because that would have been crossing a line. And the series survived and carried on to a fourth test. It's incredible to think. Can you imagine that happening nowadays?
Well, no, I can't. But we paid the price, mate, because I'm making all these jokes about learning to play the short ball and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, they got damn good at this, and it's basically, as we said in our last episode, one of the reasons why the Australians are so good at home is because their pitches are faster and are bouncier.
Yeah,
and they tend to skittle us because they are good at playing this kind of cricket, not as hostile and as deliberately aggressive and, just aiming to unsettle and injure people. That's obviously not the tactic. But the notion of playing to your strengths, like quick, fast, bouncy pitches, hostile bowlers, Mitch Johnson, Brett Lee, these kind of people in the modern day, you reap what you sow. And
yeah, you do.
We've taken our medicine since Bodyline, I think.
Yeah, many times over.
But yeah, we did win. We did win the series, though, guys. So
we did, yeah, and we won the fourth test at the Gabba. One of the few times we've actually won at the Gabba.
Yeah, and also pre-war, so we had a better record pre-war, so it kind of doesn't count. But yeah, it was less of an impact Bodyline in the fourth test for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the big diplomatic hoo-ha that just happened. Secondly, Howard Larwood was getting a bit tired at this point in the series, wasn't bowling quite as aggressively, and another bowler named Vos missed the match as well. A defining image of that is Eddie Painter, who we mentioned earlier, one of England's all-time greatest batsmen, climbed out of a hospital bed with tonsillitis to make the match and to make a crucial 83 that helped England to a narrow first innings lead and then chase 164 with 4 wickets left to go 3-1 up and retain the Ashes at that point. Yeah, and it didn't get better for Australia in this series.
No.
Final test.
No, Australia scored 435 at Sydney. Bradman scored 71. England 454 in reply, including a Wally Hammond 100 and a Night Watchman 98 from Larwood, which is, you love to see it.
Yeah, you do love to see it.
But long story short, England knocked off 164 in their final innings to win by 8 wickets, take the series 4-1. And Larwood, who was who was pretty broken by this point. He was bowling off an injured foot. He finished with 33 wickets and a reputation as the most feared fast bowler in the world. Famously as well, I didn't mention this, I think this was in the third test as well, Larwood was struggling with injury. So Jardine deliberately placed him in a position just to stare down the batsman. So in the batsman's line of sight, just to stare down, to be intimidating. Just to give you an impression of Jardine's captaincy tactics. And Jardine is renowned for being a very good tactician and a very good captain. And bear in mind, at this point, captains ran the tour. They weren't just leading on the field.
Yeah,
they weren't support staff. They weren't managers. Yeah. They were running the tour. I mean, they were booking the hotels. They were taking the team around.
The thing is save for the fact that it was obviously very controversial for its time, to go to Australia and win 4-1 is quite an astonishing result.
Yeah, basically just to target a single man, basically just to target Bradman, who incidentally...
He still top scored, didn't he?
He's still top scored. He still averaged 59.
Averaged 59.
For the series, I think it was.
Scored 396 for the series and only played in 4 of the games. And in one of those innings, he got a duck. So, it wasn't... Yeah, give the man his due. Still came out.
I mean, you can argue that they knocked 40 off his average, but... at what cost, Ben? At what cost?
At what cost? Yeah. I mean, go on.
It is a great debate, because where do you draw the line in cricket? At what point does sportsmanship give way to victory? Like, if England would have lost otherwise, was Bodyline worth it?
It's really funny because it's a very good philosophical question, because cricket is philosophy in many ways. It is morality in many ways. And that question, the reason I think it's just interesting to ask that question is because it still afflicts the game now. Like, anything that's done outside of what is considered the expected etiquette is met with vitriol, depending on which side you're on. Obviously, if your team is doing it, generally speaking, the fans of that side will defend the actions.
As you'd expect, yeah.
As you would expect, yeah. It's still very much partisan in that regard. But it will still be met with a very emotional reaction by the team on the receiving end. And like some contemporaneous examples are like Stuart Broad nicking and not walking, Alex Carey's stumping of Johnny Bairstow. I'm trying to think of them. Obviously, the Mancad. Australia's underarm bowling against New Zealand that time. Is it the Chappell brothers?
Filthy.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Richie Benaud did not like that.
Richie Benaud did not like that. We're going to come on to the great man, hopefully in this episode, but if not, certainly in our third Ashes episode. Yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it? It does always spark a debate. And if it riles up your opposition, and as you say, what's the trade-off? I mean, an Ashes win in Australia is pretty rare, so you got to probably, on balance, you got to probably say from an English perspective, it was a risk worth taking. Maybe. I think if you take out the fractured skull. Yeah, of course. You don't want to see people actually hurt. Like, of course,
the risk is there regardless.
Yeah.
So you can say, morally speaking, does it make a difference whether the injury happened, and were they not fortunate there were not worse injuries? Because as we all unfortunately know, Australian cricket fans, particularly even in the modern age with helmets, bouncing cricket balls can still be incredibly dangerous. Referring to the death of Philip Hughes in 2014.
Yeah. I mean, the real answer to your question is it depends on your motivation for deploying the tactic, right? If it genuinely is to just make it harder to score runs and more difficult to play the ball, then, that's obviously fine. It's within the laws of the game. Nobody's breaking any rules. Sure, it's not nice. You haven't experienced it before, but that's how sport evolves. Someone comes up with a new tactic and then everybody adapts.
Yeah. It's a good way of putting it, because this was a new tactic.
Yeah, it was completely novel for its time.
It was almost novel. It wasn't that common to set a field specifically to a type of bowling. A lot of things we take for granted in cricket and all sport has to have an origin. Like we'll probably talk about someone in a little bit who brought a lot of what we consider very basic things into cricket. In W.G. Grace, who we'll talk about, I think,
in a moment.
Going back in time a bit, talking in a moment. A lot of what Jardine did was very creative and very new in terms of field placements, and they're still used today. Those sort of leg theory, as it is, playing, putting catchers down the leg side, bouncing balls, putting batsmen under pressure that way, albeit with more safety measures, more helmets, but no small degree of risk still. Yeah,
and they still people play. They set fields now. Like you said earlier, like a fine leg, a deep backward square or backward square, deep mid wicket, and then they just say hook us, and they do just bowl short balls all afternoon. Obviously, not as quite as hostile because of the rules that we mentioned earlier, but it will just be ball after ball at your armpit, at your chest height, and you have to find a way of dealing with it. Particularly if you're not very good at playing the short ball. The full answer to your original hypothetical question is, if you're aiming to hurt someone, then that's obviously not all right.
Yes,
because it's a bit like aiming to do like cheap shots in rugby, isn't it? Like it's cricketing's version of a cheap shot.
Yeah, or leaving a leg in after a tackle in football or whatever it might be.
Yeah, exactly. And there aren't many ways you can do that in cricket. So
no, I think. And this is a quote I read when I was looking up into this from MCC Museum curator Adam Chadwick, who summarised sort of his position on it, which was that Bodyline was unsportsmanlike then, but tactically genius now.
Yeah, I think that's very nicely put, actually.
Yeah.
So, with that debate sewn up, W.G. Grace, you mentioned him, the original great man, the original poster boy.
Yeah, so W.G. Grace is quite an incredible bloke.
We've got to balance this out, by the way. We should say this very quickly. Like, this is an Englishman now we're talking.
Yes. Yeah, we've spoken far too much about the Australians. He is incredible. So, longevity, first of all. He started playing when he was 16, I think he was.
Mental.
He played 43 years of first-class cricket from 1865 to 1908.
Yeah.
Like, talk about spanning generations. Like, incredible. 54,896 first-class runs, 126 centuries, 2,809 wickets, because he was an all-rounder, could bowl as well. And what W.G. Grace did, and talked about sort of changing the game, before W.G. Grace, most batsmen specialised in a single type of shot. They would just wait for a ball that they could pull, or they'd wait for a ball, well, it's probably mainly on the offside actually at this point, wait for a ball they could drive, wait for a ball they could cut. Whatever their best shot is, they'd get on the front foot already, ready for it, and anything else they just leave or avoid or whatever.
Yeah, defend, block.
The idea, and it seems mental today because all batsmen can play off the front foot and back foot, even tail enders can play off the front foot and back foot. Maybe not me so much, I was very much off the back foot, but, good batsmen.
Yeah, I remember Jimmy Anderson reverse sweeping people.
Yeah.
And he's not renowned for his batting.
Oh, modern cricket, eh? But yeah, he would go forward to the balls on the length and drive it, or he'd go backwards to short balls and pull it or cut it, whatever it might be. And this was revolutionary at the time, and it's crazy to think that he did that.
And he was a conventional all-rounder.
Yeah. He bowled
batted and bowled.
Bowled round arm bowling. So we should mention this as well, that over-arm bowling in cricket only became a thing in like the mid-19th century. It was a law change that allowed it. People would start doing it, and cricket used to be all underarm bowling, and then round arm bowling was allowed, so anything under the sort of level arm, basically. If your arm's parallel to the floor or below, that's fine. So people were round arm bowlers, and then overarm came in later. But W.G. Grace always bowled round arm throughout his career.
Yeah. The original Lasith Malinga, except he wasn't very quick.
Malinga the slinger, yes, but also couldn't bowl at 99 miles an hour.
Yeah. He only played 22 games for England, though, which is astonishing, really. But that's just a symptom of the times, of course. But
early days of Test cricket, basically just whenever Australia came to visit at this point, or indeed if he decided to go to Australia. But I don't know if he ever did. He certainly didn't in 1880, was it? He missed that tour.
Yeah,
famously.
Yeah, I don't know if he
the
went
early Test matches.
He averaged 32, and only scored 2 tons for England. But he played a rather pivotal role in a man that you alluded to earlier.
Yes. So there's been many players who played for Australia in the Ashes, and there's been many players who played for England in the Ashes. There's only been one player who has played for both England and Australia in the Ashes, and he is definitely worth a mention because he's a very interesting guy.
Yeah, he is.
And the reason he his career overlaps with W.G. Grace. I will come to shortly because it's kind of mad. But yeah, he was born in the Forest of Dean in Gloucestershire in England to a cricket-mad working-class family, very much with local roots. But his father chased something else we've talked about in previous episodes, the Victorian gold rush, took the family to Bendigo goldfields in Victoria. And so Billy grew up in the mining settlements of the California Gully.
You can't just give him the first name, mate. Come on. Billy Midwinter.
Billy Midwinter. It, again, is a great name.
It is.
I'll give you his full name. William Evans Midwinter. Billy Midwinter.
Got middle name now after only teasing us with the first name. Fair enough. Yes.
Why the devil not? He was the first man ever in 1869-1870 season. He became the first man ever to score a double century in Australian cricket. 256 for Bendigo versus Sandhurst. He was known as being a quiet man with a dry sense of humour. Big, physically imposing man, and he was an all-rounder as well. Did a bit of bowling as well. But yeah, he faced, indeed W.G. Grace did tour Australia because he faced W.G. Grace for the first time in 1874 in Victoria. He actually clean bowled W.G. and he bowled G.F. Grace as well, which is W.G.'s brother, who was also in the team, which lodged himself firmly in W.G. Grace's memory, which would have implications for the future.
Very serious implications.
He was selected... Yeah. So the first ever test match was in 1877, as we mentioned. So he was part of that first Australian team. He took 5 for 78, becoming the first bowler ever to take a 5-4 in test history. And as they say, anyone can hold a record, anyone can break a record. You can never not be the first. Once you've done it for the first time, no one can ever take that away from you. First man to ever score a 5-4, get a 5-4.
A Michelle.
But he had a hybrid identity. He was English-born, Bendigo raised, representing Australia, the colony of Australia, against the mother country. But this was before any clear rules existed about nationality or allegiance in cricket. Because soon after that test, he sailed back home, in inverted commas, to Gloucestershire, becoming Gloucestershire's first ever full-time professional. And he joined Grace's United South of England 11. Obviously, Grace remembering him from days in Australia, and started playing with W.G. Grace there. And there was one incident, quite famously, one of the most notorious episodes of W.G. Grace's life, when the Australians were touring England in 1878, and obviously they were aware that their very, very good bowler who got a 5-4 in the first ever test match was in England, so they'd invited him to open the batting for them. However, Gloucestershire had a game that same day, and W.G. Grace, being Gloucestershire captain at the time, realised they were a man short at the Oval for that one. So he personally went to, quote-unquote, collect Midwinter, but the collection essentially turned into a kidnapping. So W.G. Grace kidnapped Billy Midwinter and made him play for Gloucestershire at the Oval instead of playing for Australia against England. Not for any reason of personal, like national pride or anything, not to sort of keep him from playing England, just because he wanted him to play for Gloucestershire instead.
Yeah.
But that's just madness.
It's a crazy story. I mean, these are the sort of things, though, where if you think of the times, it just wasn't what it is now, right? It's not professionalism, it's amateurism, it's like boys' clubs, it's, organised tours of the gentlemen. Yeah, you just do what you want, didn't you? And when you're of the standing of W.G. Grace, you could do what you wanted, I imagine.
When you're the size of W.G. Grace, you didn't even mention he's a big man. Big beard as well, famously. So by 1881, Billy Midwinter had changed allegiances. He went to tour Australia with England. He played 4 tests for England in Australia, bowling and batting for them as well. So he sort of got this reputation. Obviously, he played for Australia originally, and then his willingness to sort of switch teams and become an Australian as well led to a joke that went something like this, which was Midwinter, who is an Englishman in Australia and an Australian in England. He eventually decided to settle back in Australia again, and then he played some more test matches for Australia to finish his career off.
Yeah,
so he essentially had an England sandwich in his career.
That's it, because he played, when England went there in 1884, I think he played for Australia again, didn't he? Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah,
he came back over to England for one more tour, and then I think Tragedy struck poor Billy.
Oh, it is an incredibly sad end to this story. So 1888, 1889, that kind of time. His daughter Elsie died of pneumonia, first of all. His wife Lizzie then died of apoplexy, and he had another young son who died soon after that. His remaining son as well, his last remaining son, developed a very crippling hip condition, and a lot of his business ventures, unsurprisingly at this time, also began to falter. I can't imagine he had the time or headspace to focus on that. But in the wake of these bereavements, he returned to live with his sister, but his behaviour became very erratic and violent at times. In the medical language of the time, he was labelled hopelessly insane and a lunatic, and he was committed to Kew Asylum in Melbourne, very, very famous asylum in Melbourne, which was still there, I think, until, I want to say 1988. I think I remember that because it was the year we were born, which is crazy to think it lasted that long. He was at Kew for not a huge amount of time because he died there, unfortunately, aged just 39 in 1890. The inquest ruled disease of the brain as the cause of death, but there's possibility that untreated syphilis might have been a cause of it. There's no real proof for that, but it was quite common at the time. Obviously, syphilis, when untreated with modern medicine,
debilitating disease and can make you go mad, can't it?
Yeah.
Like a really sad ending.
Very sad,
but he's got his place in history. He's the only man to have played for both teams in the Ashes.
First ever Fifer.
Yeah,
first ever Michelle
Pfeiffer. Yeah. I think we've done justice actually, and done a nice little accidental equilibrium with the Don, W.G. Grace, and a man who's played for both sides.
Yeah.
Is there a
completely
way?
Accidental.
It's all pre-war, this stuff. Is there a way? Is there a man that would take us to the post-war era who encapsulates in more ways than one the Ashes through playing, commentating? Is there a bloke that is the personification of the Ashes? Did anyone come to mind, John?
Not I can think of, Ben.
The voice.
Goodbye, guys. See you next week.
The voice. Oh God, Richie Benaud.
It's weird thinking of Richie Benaud, how impactful he was on us as young cricket fans, because we started watching cricket in for me it was the late 90s. He was BBC originally, or certainly in the 90s, and then Channel 4 famously after that when they had the cricket coverage. And he's just so magnetic and so memorable, his voice and his mannerisms and his sort of like the joy he brought to cricket. And it was weird feeling that, and then later realising or finding out, or whether that Australians felt exactly the same way and had felt that way for a long time beforehand.
And with
that he was such he's a national treasure.
Yeah, because he's such a good player as
famously revered and loved and mocked in a nice way. Mocked is the wrong way of putting it, but imitated, I should say.
Yeah, imitated.
Most famously on the 12th Man.
Yeah. For the bone, the off-white, the white, the cream, and the ivory.
Marvellous.
Because he
2 for 22. 22.2 overs.
Richie Benaud famously wore the same sort of shade of jacket throughout his commentary career, which is the reference to the various different colours, which are all the same, really, just slight variations of each other.
Yeah. Before he became a commentator. He was
born in a damn good cricketer. Go on.
Yeah, he was born in Penrith, New South Wales. He was a leg spinning all rounder. It took him quite a while to get going though. Like he had a few hard Sheffield Shield seasons, which is the Australian state cricket tournament, to sort of refine his craft, develop his flight, pace variations and control, stuff that later came to define him. So 1957, 1958, South Africans were touring, or they toured South Africa. He emerged at that point as a genuine match winner with bat and ball. He transformed sort of from a useful cricketer into an elite one, and soon after that he was appointed captain of Australia. He was a very imaginative captain. He's renowned for being creative, being well loved, well respected, and just to put that into context, he never lost a test series when in charge across 28 matches as captain, which is an incredible record. That included regaining the Ashes in 1958-59 and
he won 5 in a row, didn't he?
Winning back-to-backs. Yeah, won back-to-back series in Asia. Captained them against the West Indies in a famous victory. Included the first Tide test. I remember this from last week. I couldn't remember if there'd been Tide tests. There's actually been 2 Tide tests. First of which was against West Indies when he was captaining Australia. First man to achieve a test double of 2,000 runs and 200 wickets, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And he retired in 1964 and seamlessly transitioned into a role behind the microphone.
Yeah, he had a pretty insane career before that, though. Like, it was 63 tests, 2,200 runs at 25, which isn't great, but isn't terrible. 3 tons, 90 50s.
Oh, it's an all-rounder.
Yeah, 3 tons, 90 50s. I think it's the wickets, though, that are underestimated. 248 at 27. At 27 is the important stat there. That's
for a leggy.
Yeah, that's his average. That basically means that he takes a wicket for every 27 runs he concedes. And an average of 27 over the course of your career makes you very good. Let's just put it that way.
As a spin bowler, especially.
Yeah, I mean, even the quicks, like the very best, like McGrath, I think his average is about 21 or something, and he's, one of the greats. Jimmy is high
he'd
20s.
be in an all-time. Yeah, I mean, as a spin bowler, you're sort of you're a slave to the conditions, I guess you could say, a bit more than a fast bowler is. Like, if the pitch isn't turning, if the ball doesn't grip off the pitch, you're kind of on your own, spinners can get hit quite a lot, so they can concede quite a lot of runs. So 27 is very good.
Yeah, it's very good. I mean, he's
very good indeed.
He was a really good player, and like you said, like his captaincy was very impressive. 3 tours of England, I think he won on. Took a best 7 for 72, won 10 for 16 Michelle's. Yeah, just like a much better player than, quite a lot of people our age probably would have really realised, because of how synonymous he became, as you quite rightly said, with commentating. I mean, let's put it this way. He called the ball of the century. He called Botham in 81. He called Andrew Symonds smoking a streaker. He called 2005.
Oh, so good.
Like, he called everything, mate. He called all the defining moments of the Ashes. Yeah.
Can I just please ask everyone who is listening to this to go and Google the Andrew Symonds streaker incident? Because, I mean, first of all, Andrew Symonds is a legend, sadly lost his life a couple of years ago in a car crash, very young. But he was a big lad, and he was basically built more like a rugby league player, and indeed was a big rugby league fan. And streaker chose the wrong bloke to run into, put it that way. It's worth a watch. And the commentary from Benaud, Richie Benaud, is incredible. He's just the way he delivered. It's so minimalist, so like calm and
minimalist is perfect.
Choosing the right words in the right moment.
It really is perfect. I mean, just
understanding when.
Go on.
You don't have to fill every mode of airtime in cricket. You can let the cricket talk for itself and then just contribute like little one-liners.
I mean, even when England won...
It was always happy when he was on the mic.
Yeah, when England won in 2005, his commentary was Jones, Bowden, Kasparovich, the man to go, I think. And then England have done it. That's all he said. And Jones was the bowler.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, it wasn't. Let me start again. Jones was the wicketkeeper catching a ball off Steve Harmison. Bowden was the umpire giving him out, and he just said Bowden when he raised his finger. And then Kasparovich was the batsman, and then he just said England have done it. Like, that's it. That's all he had. That's all he had to say. And everyone,
one of the most incredible moments in Ashes history.
Yeah.
One of the most incredible is the commentary.
I mean, that wasn't even. Sorry, I mean, I've mistold that story, because that wasn't even when we won. That was just when we won a Test match by 2 runs.
Yeah.
A remarkable series called by a remarkable man.
Marvellous. It's probably the reason I say marvellous all the time.
Genuinely, he's in your subconscious.
He's welcome to be.
But is that a nice place to leave it? Calling all the great moments, and then we can transition that into the post-war greats, which will be heavily dominated by a few characters, probably in our lifetime, with a mention in dispatches to the likes of both.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's one person in particular that is an Australian, but is the most beloved Australian in history. Another one who sadly died too young. I don't have to hide who it is. We're going to talk about Shane Warne quite a lot next week.
Oh, for sure. Like, the only time I've ever been rattled by a famous person dying, I think. Rattled
completely. Truly to my core.
Yeah, like genuinely devastated. Like, it was absolutely heartbreaking. And like, you know, we didn't know him. So who are we to be upset about it? But that's we weren't the only ones. That's the thing. Like, this isn't we're not
Steve Irwin as well. Just to say another Australian.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't know why. Not related
that's
to
a
this
weird transition.
At all. But that hurt as well.
That did. But no, like Shane Warne is. We'll do it next week. We'll try and do him justice, which will be impossible. But we'll do our little ode to Shane, which is two English guys who are not important, who just like to catch up as best mates every now and again and chew the fat over the sports. What do we know? But he's one of the best.
What do we know?
So
he made us smile. Richie Benaud made us smile.
Yeah. This is the thing about the Ashes. This is the joy of it.
Made a lot of people smile.
We've kind of summed it up like very disjointedly and not very articulate. And in not a very articulate way. But this is the Ashes. This is why I think both nations love it. Is because at its absolute core, you do come to love the greats from the other team as much as you love the greats from your own.
There's so many members of that elite Australian team that I just have so much time for. Like, for the amount of stick that he got while he was here. Ricky Ponting, incredible legend of cricket. Probably talk about him next week. Glenn McGrath, obviously, he's been through a lot in his life. Losing his wife, obviously, to cancer, raising a lot of money as a result of that. And then Shane Warne, legend, famous, brilliant moment when the English fans were chanting, "We wish you were English," and he just raised and doffed his cap to them.
Yeah. That's just
the great thing about cricket.
One of the most iconic Ashes.
Mutual respect.
Yeah, one of the most iconic Ashes moments. Yeah, and then on the English side, you haven't really got anyone until
Jimmy.
Yeah, you got Jimmy, Broady, I don't know, KP, Graham Swan, Graham Thorpe.
I was going to say Graham Thorpe.
Darren Gough. Yeah, we'll get into it.
Hat trick in the Ashes hat trick.
Yeah, him and Peter Siddle. Right, should we leave it there?
Yeah, I mean we could go on all night, but we got another episode. So just to confirm, we've jigged our plan around. Next week we're going to do third Ashes episode, and then move on to other sports the week after. Got a couple of other sports to get in before Christmas, and maybe a special just before Christmas to end the year.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Lots to look forward to. December's a great month for sport. Goes under the radar.
Yeah, a couple of things do, but definitely worth talking about.
Absolutely right.
But hopefully by the time we get to another sport, England haven't completely blown this series. But wouldn't bet on it. Would not bet on it, but here's to hoping. Gabatoir next. Yeah. Not this week, but next week. You got a week to breathe it in before the next test. Yeah. All right. See you next week. Goodbye. Bye, mate. Thank you, as always, for making us your choice of podcast for your drive, train journey, sneaky headphone in at work time, or however you choose to inject your podcast fix. You have our gratitude. Please do click the various buttons below the picture on whatever app you use. Most of them can really help us along. More than anything, do tell some other folks about us. It's helped us build an audience already, and it will really help us grow, so thank you for that. Our theme tune is Oh Yeah by Home Only Productions. You can find us on Instagram and Blue Sky at The Sporting Almanac. Next up, it's one more Ashes hit as we move to the modern day on our own Ashes experience as fans. But until then, whether you're up every 2 hours refreshing in the night or take your misery in one fell swoop at dawn, sport is nothing without the history that makes it. Goodbye.